I am so tired. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I still feel a little bit stuffed up. Not as bad as yesterday or the day before, but I'm also suffering the side effects of being tired. I think there's no way the Benadryl still affected me from yesterday. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was, you know? But yeah, hey, hi, welcome back to the Ace Attorney. It's literally been... it's almost exactly been 2 weeks since we last actually played this. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, what are we doing here? Why are we on the steamship Willie? And then now I remember, we're playing as Professor Mikotoba with his partner in crime, Sholmes. And I think that's about as much as I remember at the moment. Yeah, I'm not remembering too many things clearly. Oh god, the odds are starting. It's only been 5 minutes. Alright, let's do this. We are on the final chapter for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and we're in Investigation Part 1 after something happened. Someone's gonna have to refresh my memory, or I'm gonna have to refresh my own memory at this point. So, what would please you more, Mikotoba, besides Sholmes doing a thing? What is this? Oh, it's this. This is where I ended it off. We have but minutes until the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Oh my god. Time is of the essence. Do I have to go through this? Mr. Stroganev, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jigoku left the ship some 2 hours ago. Da! That is what I said. Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What? Tuh? Ah, yes, of course. I see you've noted it too, Mikotoba, then please do take the lead. So wait, these two, does this deduction actually end up being perfect? What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked something, the steamship? Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observational skills then, Mikotoba. Oh wow, he's even got his own little, like, portrait over here. It's been 10 years since we last did this, Sholmes, not 3. Why, of course it has. Quite. Now, all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But as I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe and the answers become clear. So, impress me. I think I can manage that. I don't know if I can. Oh no, my controller. Hello, controller. What's the matter, controller? Unplug it, and then plug it back in, because apparently it did not want to register that it was working. Controller? Controller, what the heck? No! No! Controller? That hurts. I'm not gonna accept that. Elsa, what's going on here? Controller, what the fuck? I'm trying to push the options, but it's not letting me. Hello? Controller, work, please. Controller. Controller. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Why is this start button doing a thing? Hello? Why? What the hell, controller? What's wrong with you? Why are you not working the way I want you to work? You were working just fine pushing the A button. Oh my god. Why?
Take that!
No! Again with the same button? What is happening? Alright, we're closing the game. We're crashing the game. Because my controller is not responding properly. I refuse to accept that that was what that was my fate. No, I refuse. Absolutely fucking not. Controller has to work. Controller can't not work. Okay, it works. It works. I don't know why it was not working, but will it work? Oh god, I have to go through the dialogue again. I'm not reading the dialogue a second time. You're nuts. It's only been 7 minutes, and I'm already angry at the game. Actually, I'm angry at my controller. That's what I'm angry at. Why did you not work, controller? And I can't skip it because the game doesn't realize I've already seen this dialogue. I mean, it makes sense. Why would it skip the dialogue if you haven't actually seen it? Considering I crashed the game because I didn't accept what I just saw. What is the impossibility? Alright, I get it. Let's do this. Let's see if the controller actually lets me move how I want it to move. Because it didn't even let me move. There we go! Now I can move! So, what's the proof that Mr. Jigoku is still here? With the ice, probably. Huh? What contradicts the claim that Jigoku disembarked 2 hours ago? Literally, it's the only thing I can think of is the ice. Like, this is recent. Also, apparently I'm not allowed to... I'm only allowed to present. I can't push A unless I'm crazy. No, that's not it. Okay, whatever. We'll just do that then. Even that's obvious. What the fuck? Perhaps you should have cleared away that glass. What was that little dance there, Mikotoba? How curious that the ice should have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. Ah! It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With this well-chilled glass in hand. Get your mind off of refreshments. Off the refreshment, Sholmes. Are you saying Sholmes is an alcoholic? One might even conclude that somebody informed him of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganov? But why would Shishiro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct to say that these first-class cabins of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jogoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan? Ah, that's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door and Shishiro was, yes, 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage. I can't imagine being on a ship and staying there for 50 fucking days. First off, I don't think I could handle it because I would be suffering from a lot of seasickness. I can't even deal with being in a plane for 8 hours, man. As I suspected, for you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jogoku had to hide. What traces? I know nothing about this. Ah, this is news to you, is it, Mr. Stroganov? Sholmes, what exactly are you getting at? As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure wouldn't have escaped your notice. Something out of place in here. That's the key to this, Mikotoba. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incredulous? I was gonna think he'd say incredulous, not incredulous. I must say, I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikotoba. No, quite, but life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Considering my unexpected turns and twists and turns had to go from trying to get back home from work today. Literally, I spent like a half hour on the road because traffic was so damn heavy. And people are so stupid when they're navigating heavy traffic. Now then, let's see if I can't uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. The remnants of the dark deed that took place. The rules of passage, I guess. I'm gonna put that one. That was easy, I guess. I mean, they're making it pretty easy. Oh my god. It's the rules of passage in this frame here. They're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the walls that they were put there in a hurry. Yes, as I'm sure you've already concluded, the frame was originally over here. The shape and size are a perfect match. Da, you are right. When did frame move? Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganov? I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. Oh dear, that really seemed to touch a nerve. So, Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall? I don't know, man. He's kind of old. Watch out for your back. What? Is that a bullet hole? That looks like a bullet hole. What? Who has been shooting walls? I see. The projectile has been removed. Clearly, the careful occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganov. I have the distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant. I don't know what you are talking about. Why would I try to protect Eastern Stranger? Because you had another Eastern Stranger here before. Ah, so we're talking about the same man, I see. Good. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time. Aren't you because there's some very noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man. Yes, you've been told to keep up this pretense as clearly shown by whatever that is on your arm. I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. Ah, my dear Mikotoba, simply keep first principles in mind. Study your subject from every angle, and I'm quite sure that you'll see it. In fact, I'd put a wager on it. So I'm to glare at the fellow from all sides. Well, I can certainly do that. Unless he's hiding something else, but I mean, that's cool and all, but I was more interested in the tattoo. It says, Sholmes. Actually, to be fair, it could also just be the banknotes, but like... I mean, why would he... Wait, okay, never mind. My brain has to... It took a minute there to catch up. It needed some time for those connections to reform. We already talked about the tattoo. The tattoo was already brought up some time ago. It was brought up 2 weeks ago, actually. Where Sholmes is like, oh, you have my name on your arm and you don't even know who I am. I guess it's the banknotes then. I guess it's the more obvious realization. Oh my god, this little dance that he does. Mikotoba, you do not strike me as the kind of man who does a little dance like that. It's almost too obvious for words. Quite. The universal language of the world. Money. Yup. Yep. And I'd wager that the Eastern fellow in question is Sashiro Jigoku, yes? So, I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin. And that way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But I believe you know, Mr. Stroganov. You know where Mr. Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. As always, Mikotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Sholmes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor. We need only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. The slightest flicker of the pupils, a minutely delayed blink, nothing escapes my attention, even that which is barely perceptible. You could hardly call this barely perceptible, Sholmes. The man's turned his entire head. It's not exactly what you describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. We shall let your tapping toes decide, my dear fellow. Tapping toes? Wait, the box? Come on now, you can't... What about the wardrobe? I mean, it's so dumb, right? There's no way it could be that obvious, right? It is? I was gonna go with the wardrobe, as funny as that would have been. Why? It's so dumb. You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? The truth is, Sashiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time. And is, at this very moment, doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. I imagine he didn't count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? Are you forgetting about the combination lock? We don't know the 7-digit code. Wait, what if that stupid lettering on his tattoo is the code? The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Of course. In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside the trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. And I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganov. No, I know nothing about combination code. You know, now that I'm looking at that stupid thing there, the tattoo, it looks like a 5631045. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman. Huh? Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? How on earth do you expect me? It's a 7-digit number. Remember, quickly now, we have little time. Okay, so I was right. It is... If I'm reading this properly, he wrote it on his arm, right? So then the first one is 5, the second one is 6. Wait, you can't get 6. Wait, then what would that make? 2? 2, 3, 1? 5, 2, 3, 1, 0, 4, 5.
Take that!
I was right, wow. That's such a weird looking 2 to me. I don't like the 2s that are like a squiggle like that. I like the 2s that are just like... You do a little like... What am I trying to... How do I explain this? It's a 2 that makes a hook down and you finish it off with a line at the bottom. That did it! It's open! You had to meddle, didn't you? How did you fit in there? You're such a big man. Well, Eugen, you found me now. Shishiro. What do you... I'm amazed he managed to fit in there. The guy's a big man, for God's sakes. I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know. But you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it. No, quite. I just wish it were some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I've read stories of many of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. The devil's in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion. Wait, what? My old friend and traveling companion. Your old friend and what the hell did... What? Who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour? Ow. Fair enough. Fair enough. I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Shishiro, are you going to explain all this? You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey? Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it? Damn. I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you. It's somewhat surprising, I must say. What is? Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket, and here I am. I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of the incident in this cabin. So you'd already purchased a return ticket before we even docked in Dover, did you? To prevent anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence, is that it? Eugen, I have nothing to say to you. Huh? Well, in a mere 5 minutes, this ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. Not wrong. We have this, Shishiro. Take it. Oh, wait. Is that a fucking warrant? What is it? It's even better. It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what that what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be. You came prepared then, Eugen. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, Sholmes? Inside Mr. Jigoku's trunk. I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that, Shishiro? I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something? But what? I have no idea. By the look on his face, I think he genuinely doesn't know. Well, let us pocket as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France. Sojourn? Small component. A small machine part that Mr. Sholmes found in Judge Jigoku's cabin on the SS Grouse. Somehow, we have it in the court record. Well, young Naruhodo, I think we've done as much as we can, I'm afraid. The rest will be on your shoulders of you and your assistant. But we at least confirmed that he's alive. So, I mean, that's a positive, right? 3rd November, 12:10 p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Kazuma Asogi. I know you, and I know you wouldn't lie, but still, there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. Oh, right. Forgot that Strongheart is here. How could I forget that detail? I've literally been, like, so untrustworthy of the guy that I'm like, you have to be involved somehow. During the past 30 minutes while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict. No, the trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Ryunosuke. Yeah, I now know how to pronounce that name. Guess who made me learn how to pronounce it? Rene. She has the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles playthrough on her channel. I don't know if she finished it. I didn't really get that far. But I now know how to pronounce that. Ryunosuke. I should have probably figured that out on my own. But I stopped taking my Duolingo Japanese lessons, so oopsie. You should know when to lay down your sword. And you should know never to presume when the battle is won. Ooh. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony, and there can be only one conclusion, that the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it. There's still a crucial witness from whom the court is yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. Wait, what? Oh, wait. The witness is already on his way and scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Who on earth is this crucial witness? Shishiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Judge Jigoku! You found him?! Even he was stunned about that. But the investigations of every policing resource in the capital suggested Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find the man? I really don't like you. I don't like you and how you just stood up and did that. He was located in France during the recess at the port of Dunkirk. Thanks to one of Mr. Herlock Sholmes' famous deductions. Herlock Sholmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death, because along with Prosecutor Asogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Shishiro Jigoku is the sole witness who can clarify exactly what happened aboard the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. Not wrong. That's not wrong either. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication at this point. Prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. Huh. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side? No, my lord. No objections, my lord. We live to fight another day. By the skin of our teeth. Ryunosuke is providing Kazuma one hell of a fucking fight, though. Oh my god, I just came to the realization when I said the name. Ryunosuke? Kazuma? I should have noticed that, because you would never pronounce Kazuma as Kazuma. Unless you didn't understand the what is it? The thing with the naming conventions in Japan. It's not Kazuma, it's Kazuma. It's not Ryunosuke, it's Ryunosuke. How did I not spot that after I said Kazuma's name? Susato is like the most English name I can think of, but it's still... It's not Susato or something. Man. The unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamor around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then, at a little past 8 o'clock that evening, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. That's a nice feast going on in that chest. We have returned, my dear fellows. Welcome back to Britain, and thank you for your timely help. Think nothing of it. I believe you've had an even more wearing day than Mikotoba and I know. You could say that. We were on the brink of defeat in court earlier. But this prosecutor, Asogi, had you on the ropes, did he? And he's your best friend, you say? Well, not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it's incredible to think that he'd even entertain the idea of acting as the Reaper's assassin. That's something... Now, okay, now these details are starting to come back to me. Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only ever met the young man as a corpse. Oh my god, he's not wrong. He only ever met him when he was quote-unquote dead. Hi, D&D. I see you've typed hello mate twice. Even though I don't know why you typed it twice. You're lagging more than I am, I guess. When all this started, almost a year ago now. Wait, it's only been almost a year? Fuck. Mr. Sholmes still hasn't told us the truth about what really happened back then. I've been playing Golden Sun, and I gotta say... This game is fire. It is very fun. Especially when you start digging into the nuances of the Jin and what is it called? Dual elemental classing and tri-elemental classing. You can't get to tri-classes until endgame, but you can still mess around with dual classing. It's very fun. Like, that Jin system is... It did not need to be so complicated, but they made it complicated without even hinting that it was complicated. It's nice. It's really... It's a breath of fresh air to an RPG where it's already flooded with so many different mechanics depending on the RPG you're talking about. Golden Sun still manages to stand on its own very easily. And it gets even better in the second game. They improved a lot of things. About the motivation for what he himself described as a great detective's lie. Can't wait to finish it. What part are you at right now, if you remember? Or mind telling me? Now then, I must say, it's really quite a journey all the way to France. Well, it is another country, Mr. Sholmes. So, what news of Judge Jigoku? We took him to Scotland Yard. The investigating detectives there have a lot of questions for the man. Poor Professor Mikotoba. This must be quite a shock for him. Ah, yes. I picked this up at the telegraph office on my way home. What is it? Surely you haven't forgotten already. I put upon you for the matter only yesterday. Yesterday for me was 2 weeks ago. You put upon me, Sholmes. I had to fill out your telegram to Japan and foot the bill as well. Oh, you've had to reply already? What was so urgent, though, Mr. Sholmes? Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for an involved conversation at present. Understandable. Well, that's good news, because supper is ready, everyone. Hi, Iris. Ah, and what a feast it is! If I were none the wiser, I'd think the trial were won already. Roast beef, kippers, stew, steak, and kidney pie, Yorkshire pudding. Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up. In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only one set with a helping of pheasant as well. Oh, sorry, Hurley, not there. Why ever not? Are we set in places this evening? Yes, and that place is for Susie's daddy. For me? Ha! That's right, I made it especially for you, Professor Mickey. Mickey? Oh, dude, Iris, do not say Mickey. You're gonna attract the wrath of Disney. I meant the Coliseum-looking thing. Oh, you're at, Colosso. Over in, Toby, I believe is the name. Where Isaac can participate in Colosso, I think. I think they could... Yeah, you should, that's the part. I hope your Isaac is strong. I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you. Terribly kind? What a word. How far is that? Did you go over the sea yet? I mean, did you take a boat? Coliseum? Like, the only place that's a Coliseum is the, Toby. And that's after you take the boat. Is there another Coliseum I completely forgot about? Okay, yeah, you are in the place I think you are. Yeah, Colosso, it's its own, like, sub-chapter, pretty much. Man, you've gone through a lot of the game then, damn! I hope you managed to find as many of the Djinn as you could find. For the record, if you're curious, there's, 14, 21, 28. There are 28 Djinn that you can find in the first game, and then another 42 in the second game. Plus whatever ones you missed. Just so you know. It's a shame, really. What do you mean? Yeah, what do you mean, Iris? Because I'm cleaning my glasses because they got blurred. Well, for a brief moment I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Wait, what? How did she find out about that? How did you find out about that? What? Iris, do you mean... Yes, I know now. I overheard yesterday. God damn it, Iris. I secretly listened into the conversation you had after I tricked you all into thinking I'd left. Why? What? What? What the fuck? That was 2 weeks ago! And I still remember that! The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago. But actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Wilson nor Professor Mikotoba are Iris's father. What the fuck? Yes, about that, Iris. You know, I know. You can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Iris. Then who's the father? Or, for that matter, who's the mother? The pheasant is by way of an apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping. Oh, no, that's quite alright. Then why don't I get any apologetic pheasant? Jones, now is not the time. So just who is Iris's father? Yeah, that's the part I'm super fucking curious about. Hi, Zoe, I see you want to block my way again. I can't see the screen. Or even, I can't see the tracking happen either. I suppose that's not something we'll be finding out today. Nope! I don't think we're gonna ever find out, actually. So then, let us dine, while our largely pheasantless plates are still piping hot. A fine idea, Sholmes. It all looks absolutely delicious. Eat as much as you like, there are always seconds. So she knows, but she knows way too good. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. About that telegram from Japan and about Kazuma. I can't let this opportunity slip away. that pose, though. Wait, it's only Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Surely it's abundantly clear that I wasn't brooding over Mikotoba's refusal to share his pheasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes. Sorry, Hurley, but I cooked that pheasant especially for Susie's daddy. Damn. Even though I've played the role of father to you for far longer. Oh no! Oh, Sholmes, depressed as ever. Mr. Sholmes, could I discuss some things with you? Certainly, my dear fellow, I find myself quite in the mood for a spell of a conversation. No doubt, you are hungry to learn more of my deep love of game. I could probably contain my curiosity on that one. You needn't look at me in that fashion. In what fashion? It seems that before we discuss the pheasant, we have some rather unpheasant matters to discuss. Oh my god, please don't do that. The telegram from Japan. Tell me about it. Oh, so Zoe, you're finally moving. Okay. I got my tracking back. Yay! So, what was in the telegram you received from Japan, then? This. I think my lucky stars had arrived in time. Record found is indicated. Duplicate follows. K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. Huh. What? Those 4 names! We've come across that exact same list before. Been a long time, though. They came up in that unforgettable case last spring. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated murder turned out to be masking monumental intrigue. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. In exposing the means by which these secrets were being leaked, we deciphered a fragment of a message. K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. By the way, you notice that apparently Kazuma and Asa Shin were supposed to be in pairs, and Tobias Gregson And, Dr. J. Wilson. Was it Dr. J. Wilson? I don't remember his actual full name. Was supposed to also be a pair or something? But we didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information they had sent... Well, my god. Was that the information had been sent by somebody in the British government to somebody in Japan. So, why are the names coming up again now? Yes! Where did the sender of your telegram discover them, Mr. Sholmes? I have here the message I had wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Jigoku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication for Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names. Need by tomorrow. Naruhodo. I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature. Huh. You asked Inspector Hosonaga to undertake such an onerous task for you? And in my name? I wonder what guise he opted for this time. My dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand? Anyway, the list of names was found in Shishira's office, as Sholmes predicted. So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan was... It was sent to Judge Jigoku! He was the intended recipient, but why? I don't believe it. But that doesn't answer the question of what the list of names actually signifies. I did formulate a hypothesis about that, but without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it. Mr. Sholmes looks deadly serious for once. The telegram. Okay. What about Kazuma's death, then? What happened? That tragedy we had to go through on the SS Burya was all for nothing. Kazuma wasn't dead at all. Nope. We were completely taken in by the lie you told us. Your great detective's lie. I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at the time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place, whatever the cost. What? I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan. His remains, you mean? Precisely, Miss Susato. And then, I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead. Oh my, you mean... Wait, you planned this? Oh no, Internet, why? We've only just started. The arrangement between our two countries was already in place. One university student lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on the study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Asogi, I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least. Wait, do you mean to say that it was all in aid of stopping Kazuma coming to Britain? That's why you... Think back, Mr. Naruhodo. Was there not somebody who quite casually urged you to continue on the voyage to England? Wait, hold on. Who was it? Oh my god, they were all in on it. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice of both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. So, you manipulated me? I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship will drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend. I don't believe it. I've been had. If it was all contrived... I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. A woman was mistakenly arrested as the perpetrator. What do you suppose became of her? Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. What? I subsequently explained everything and assisted the unfortunate soul in finding the foreign refuge she sought. What? I seem to remember Miss Suzato and I had some rather strong words for her. Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure. I wonder if she made it to America then. Huh. Wow, we got played. I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Sholmes? Why were you so determined to stop Kazuma-sama from reaching Britain? The truth is, 12 months ago, there was already a very tangible omen of the impending tragedy, you see. Huh? Oh? An omen that, at this very moment in time, is close at hand. An omen of all those tragic events that already existed a year ago is close at hand? We need to find out exactly what Mr. Sholmes knows. I wonder if it has to do with anything presentable. Is there anyone else in the lobby yet? No. Okay. So it's definitely something I had to present. Oh my god, Zoe, calm down. Oh, hey, we actually never took a look at this thing. A small component. But we have no fucking idea what it's for. It kind of looks like a door handle. You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's the part on top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? It's called the crown, I believe. A watch could be quite useless without one. Oh, okay then. The crown? Like what sits atop of a monarch's head? That's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually, yes, Mr. Naruhodo, if this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen the monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head. If by monarch you mean pocket watch, then I'm quite sure you have. Well, nothing we can do about it right now, but hey, at least we have it. The telegram from Japan. Record found as indicated. Duplicate follows. And Hosanaga's signature. Evacuation drill notice 31st of October. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. The drill will take 20 minutes. Crew to resume duties as soon as the drill is over. They also have the sword again. What the hell would I even be like? I'm gonna have to go through every single piece of bloody evidence in here, don't I? Mr. Sholmes, do you mind looking at this? This is hardly the time, Mr. Naruhodo, as I'm sure you will appreciate. Oh, no, of course not. My attention is entirely drawn to one single matter now, the pheasant. Anyone would think you haven't eaten in weeks. Starving, Sholmes. This is not it either. Unless we can't talk about this anymore. There was no room for doubt with your instructions in this telegram, Mr. Sholmes. You were very clear that it was Judge Jigoku's office that should be searched, so... You obviously knew that's where the list of names would be found. K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we only learnt of those 4 names just over 6 months ago now, and only because they appeared as part of the top-secret government communications that were leaked. That's true, yes, but at the time you were unaware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan. Around 6 months before that, approximately this time last year in fact, when you were both still in Japan. Huh? It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets. Because after all, I am perpetually eavesdropping on communications between the British and Japanese governments. You're perpetually doing what? How? Wait, what? I'm sorry, what? Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from Herlock Sholmes when he has designs unknowing it. Oh my, Mr. Sholmes, what a fabulous line, but also very scary and problematic. Now, 1 month after that list of 4 names was wired to the recipient Jigoku in Japan, Dr. John H. Wilson was murdered. As soon as I learnt of the incident, a hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partly correct, and partly mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of all the tragic events that were to follow. Mr. Sholmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us about these 4 names and the tragedy to which they're all somehow connected. Is he gonna tell us? Oh my god, he is gonna tell us. Oh my god. As I said, when I learned of Dr. Wilson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names because, you see, there was someone else on the list who I believed to be recently deceased. What? Who? A Shin, as it was transcribed in Japanese script. In actual fact, Miss Asa Shin. Miss Assassin. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavory classes. Oh, I see. But she had completely vanished from existence several months before Wilson's murder. So I came to the logical conclusion that she had herself been killed. And accordingly, I became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list. Ah, Kei Asogi and T. Gregson. Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself, but I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from Britain. I see, so that's why you went to such lengths to prevent his study tour from going ahead. Exactly. So, you already knew who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Sholmes? Oh yes, Sholmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I'd recounted many tales about Asogi to him in my letters, and the news of Dr. Wilson's death, of course. Ouch. We have to remember Iris is here, but she's hearing all this. So, Dr. Wilson is dead then? I didn't know. Oh, Iris. I know he wasn't my daddy, but still, that's very sad. I'm so sorry, Iris. We knew the significance of the name, obviously, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. No. But what you just told us, Mr. Sholmes, doesn't completely tie in with the facts. There's one big hole in your hypothesis. A big hole, Mr. Naruhodo? Ah, yes. You mean about Asa Shin, I presume. Oh, of course! Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? She was in Japan posing as a visiting student under the assumed name of Giselle Brecht. I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow, but I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel. Damn, he only just found out, damn. Right, oh, that was Susato's case. And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis that I'd formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy. What? Topsy? Topsy hypothesis. Are you gonna sleep right there, Zoe? No, she's not gonna. What do you mean when you say your hypothesis was turned topsy, Mr. Sholmes? I had believed all 4 names on the list to be names of victims. However, I was mistaken. Very much so. Asa Shin was a killer. So this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, is it? Indeed, and it would seem that Miss Shin was dispatched from Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Dr. Wilson. So wait, is that implying that Kazuma actually dispatched Gregson? Her visiting student status being merely a front. Which would of course explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. So the real reason Dr. Wilson was killed by Asa Shin is because he was the target of an assassination. Yep. And forearmed with that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective. What do you mean? Well, does it not strike you there is another among the four, who subsequently became a visiting student? Wait, you mean... But of course, a name you know only too well. You mean Kazuma? Oh, he did say in court earlier today. Yes, on 31st October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. Young Mr. Osogi accepted that mission a year ago now. Surely not, but then that puts Miko Toba on the spotlight. In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts. An international agreement, one might say, detailing an assassin exchange. Oh my god. An assassin exchange? How could Kazuma possibly have gotten involved in something like that? No, seriously, how would he get involved in that? Let's assume that we have two parties, each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those two parties then make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. That would then be an assassin exchange. So to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Japan, where she kills her target. And then the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. It certainly does sound like an exchange. But what on earth is the point? Don't forget, Naruhodo, that the British assassin at least escaped conviction, thanks to diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction. Oh yes. Such jurisdiction should be null and void under the terms of the new treaty between our two countries. So the fact that it was brought into play suggests intervention at the very highest levels. The highest levels? These murders were two sides of the same coin, linked not by a common motive, but by contractual agreement. As such, they appeared utterly unrelated, yet in truth the assassins were complicit in one singular devilish scheme. That disassociation and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, the motivation behind this plot. But wait a minute, Sholmes. If this telegram really is describing the exchange of assassins as you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Shishiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asogi's target was actually Inspector Gregson. What? Kazuma was here for Gregson? So Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the Mark? Yes, that's exactly what it would mean. That's the part I'm bothered by, because that implies that Kazuma actually did kill Gregson. I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the inspector safe. Mr. Sholmes. I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. Obviously, with the young pickpocket in tow. Yes, Gina. Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that he was, did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition. That he'd be transferring to the Paris police and taking Gina with him. But without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems. And sadly, it turned out to be his very last. This is too much to take in. I really don't like that they killed off Gregson, dude. That's the shittiest situation to be in. Thank you, Iris. Alright, everyone, that's quite enough of all that serious talk for one day. Isn't it early? I mean, look at the time. Ah, quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow. What preparations? Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel room now. This has certainly been a night to remember. Is it a little bit sad, though? I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. Because then Suzy would have been my big sister. Oh my god, that's so fucking adorable. I'm sorry, Iris. I know, Iris. I was thinking quite the same thing. Were you? Were you? But if somebody like me would be worthy, I would be delighted to become your sister. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So, you would teach me all the ways you know to throw a rune to the floor? What the fuck? Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure. You didn't have to agree quite so readily. Oh, but wait a minute. If Suzy's going to be my big sister, you could be my big brother if you want, Reno. Oh my god, this girl's collecting family. Huh? I mean, yes, of course. If you'll have me, I'll gladly be your brother. Well done, Iris. We must always be mindful of feelings. I've raised you so well. Ah! Oh my god. Because being sensitive is your strong suit, naturally. It really isn't. You would think that Sholmes was like Edgeworth in a way. Right, I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now because it's for my big brother and sister. Oh my fucking god. Stop it, that's cute. What is all this talk about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing what? Hehe? You'll just have to wait and see. Oh. Good luck in court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance. I'll do my very best, of course. Maybe. That was quite the exposition. Story dump. Oh my god, exposition dump, that's what it's called. So the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths whilst posing new conundrums. That list of 4 names on the telegram is in Judge Jigoku's office, and the extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend had somehow become involved. I felt as though I had been plunged into an even greater darkness all of a sudden. At the same time, I felt sure I would see light again soon. I don't know, man. I don't know. Because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world standing steadfastly behind me. It's a pretty good family. Alright, we're now in... I have no idea if this trial part is going to be the absolute last trial. Trial phase. Let's see what it says here. Trial part 2, so I have no fucking idea. And he's still here. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice, and the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion, that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve, yes, that's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Osogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? That's a good question, actually. He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I swear to God, if he brings up diplomatic immunity, I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that the judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day. Fucking Kazuma. Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we're heading into very dangerous territory. Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. That's the part where I don't trust you. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume. I'm going to say fine, but I don't like it. Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Barrack Van Zeeks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asogi, begin. As you wish, my lord. Prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Shishiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last, then, we've reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Ryunosuke. It's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Oh, no. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena. I did what was necessary. Wow, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Shishiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Well, that's something I forgot. I am, of course, fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally into the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. Ha! It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. Put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Well, I never. Fancy the young murdering student turning up here of all places. You acquitted me yourself. And now, I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium, but then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this, and I'm sorry to say, I decline to comment. What? Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette, but my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify. Oh my god. This motherfucker. He's not a Supreme Court judge of Japan for no fucking reason. He knows his shit. That's the problem. Also, my cat has fallen asleep in front of me on top of my mouse. She's so cute, though. I don't know how she managed to fall asleep right there in front of me. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that. So you would run from all this? Oh, I beg your pardon. This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now. A year ago in Japan. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right! And you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Oh. Well, Ryunosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end, too. Let's see your evidence, then. What proof do you have that Yashiro Jigoku is involved in this case? The only thing I have is the telegram. That's all I have. This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. Oh, you little. Ooh, where did you get that? Damn, that fucking pissed them off. In Tokyo, from your office, Judge Jigoku. What? How on earth did you... What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? Wait, what? This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. K. Asogi and Asa Shin are the names of assassins. No! A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. Oh boy. A. Shin and her victim, J. Wilson. And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asogi, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Gregson. K. Asogi and T. Gregson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other. What exactly is the defense suggesting? These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of an assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. What? Now Kazuma's confused, though. That doesn't make sense. Why would he be confused about this? The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. Oh, jeez. Judge Jigoku? What's this all about? And you, Kazuma, you lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission, but the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract. Very impressive, Ryunosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Shishiro Jogoku was the mark came entirely from you. Uh-oh. You deliberately avoided saying a name? The defense claims these four names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jogoku, what do you have to say for yourself? Now, this is weird. This is weird because I do not have any trust for Strongheart. But then I see what Judge Jogoku's going through and what Kazuma's doing. I'm like, who the fuck do I trust in this matter? Also, where did my mouse cursor go? Because Zoe is moving it in her sleep. His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gresting's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse. Judge Jogoku, you have to testify now. To refuse would put you in contempt of court. Ooh, damn! Oh, shit! There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well, then. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night on the 31st of October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord. Oh man, where's this going, dude? I never thought that I would see this guy on a witness stand. The assassin exchange. It's true that Kazuma Osogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was the condition of the British study tour. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved. Here's the thing, though. Now that we know that there's, okay, let me put my thought. This small component, now that we know that this was found inside of Judge Jogoku's cabin, it links up to the watch. Whoever the watch is, right there. Right? That already is so much proof that Gregson was in that cabin. But I don't know what happened, though. So you admit it, then. As this communication suggests, there really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan. A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here. To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder, it's the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge. Pardon? Asogi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. What? Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel? Kazuma-sama? Damn, dude, what's going on? Judge Jogoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. Fuck you! As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified as unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk, because if he'd been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Barrick Van Zeeks. We're still going back to that, huh? Okay, we're gonna fight against that one. There's no way that Gregson could not have been in that room. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian deal. Machiavellian? I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Clearly, it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge, such as a witness, could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Machiavellian? Macalevitate. Mashed potatoes. My cat is still sleeping right here in front of me. It's so randomly cute, but if I try to take a picture of her, I can't do it. She's gonna hear the phone as soon as I, try to take a picture of her. But I have to try and take a picture of her. Don't move, Zoe. Just don't move. Don't move. Never mind. She heard it. Never mind. I swear to God, every time I try to take a picture of her when she's sleeping, she knows. Feels like you are having a stroke. Am I? Macadamia nuts. Everybody loves macadamia nuts. Anyway, I still don't trust Strongheart. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Now I gotta find a hole in this Judge Jigoku's testimony with regards to, I gotta make him say something that makes it possible for me to present something that Gregson was in that room. A year ago, when Cosmo was still in Japan then. Correct. It was at the examination center for applicants for the study tour that I approached them. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly what you said. You just came out and asked me forthright if I considered traveling to Britain on an assassination mission. Surely not! I thought it was a joke at first, of course, but then it was made clear to me that if I didn't accept, I wouldn't be considered for the study tour. Damn, dude, what the fuck? So you agreed to it just for that? I mean, I know how much you wanted to study in England, but assassination? The Empire of Japan had accepted a proposal from the British Empire at the time. An agreement to send a student from each country to the others to deepen our cultural understanding and friendship. What a way... Yeah, okay, sure. What a way to make friends. Let me just kill one of your citizens. With using one of my citizens as a student to kill that citizen. Huh? Gee, nothing brings you closer than friends. Nothing makes you closer than murdering some poor sap. What the fuck? But behind the scenes, the chosen students were being given assassination missions. I had no choice but to accept the proposal that originated from my British counterpart. Why? Why didn't you expose the plot there and then? Britain acknowledges no part in these alleged misbegotten dealings. I advise you not to make spurious allegations, Foreign Minister Jigoku. See, this is why I don't trust Strongheart. As a witness, I am bound to tell the truth, my lord. Anyway, I picked a Sogi and explained the details of the plan to him. The target was Gregson! Why? Why Gregson, though? Why Kazuma? Why did you pick him as the assassin? He was the most capable of all the applicants, and in addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was very strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire, it was his whole purpose in life. It's true, though. Yes, as his best friend, I can certainly attest to that. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming qualified as a lawyer. Hi, Zoe, this is my lip balm, not yours. Hi, Llama, by the way. I forgot to say hi. It was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain. And, of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Genshin Asogi. There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin, or betraying people's trust. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Asogi. Ha! But why was Inspector Gregson the target? See, that's the question I want to know. I have no idea. Those were the orders for Britain. I was in no position to question them. You have no idea, really. I find that hard to believe. Oh, do you? Judge Chikoku was once a visiting student here in Britain himself, of course. Perhaps he has some connection with Inspector Gregson from that time. The defense really ought to catch up. With what? With the fact that the assassin exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny here. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Asogi. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. He got amnesia. I presume you're referring to the incident that occurred during Kazuma's passage to Britain in January? The awful tragedy that took place on the steamship? Word arrived at the Ministry some 2 weeks after the ship's departure from our shores. The visiting student had been killed, but his body had somehow gone missing in Hong Kong. The news was wired to me from the detective I'd placed on the ship to accompany the assassin. Obviously, Kazuma didn't actually die at all, but he did lose his memory, including all details about his special mission. Did you not consider dispatching another assassin at that point? That wasn't possible simply because that black-clad young student over there had already put himself forward as Asogi's replacement. And there was no way to stop him from reaching Britain. Oh, damn. My hands were completely tied. So Mr. Shom's strategy worked perfectly. He predicted everything that would happen. That's ridiculous. Months later, my memory returned, but I'd never intended to go through with the assassination mission anyway. So you were playing me right from the outset, were you? Is that it? I'd sooner be guilty of that crime than of taking someone else's life. I was prepared to do whatever I had to in order to get myself here to Britain. This line of questioning has gone on long enough. All the court should be concerned about in the testimony given by this witness are details relating to his relationship with Inspector Gregson and the victim's murder. In that case, as I've already made perfectly clear, I had no connection to the man or his death. And you have some means of substantiating this plea. He doesn't.
Hold it!
Outside your cabin in the first-class area of the SS Grouse, you mean? Yes, that's right. Not least because there was a murder of a student passenger early in the year, I imagine. The liner operators have taken to posting a crewman outside every first-class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of the crewman guard myself. What do you mean? Because I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk that night. I witnessed it with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door to the witness's cabin. Stroganoff. At that particular time, of course, I'd gone to the ship's dining room for dinner. The inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while we waited for Judge Chugoku's return. I suppose Inspector Gregson was there in his capacity as the Reaper. He was intending to take the witness's life. Exactly. As I've said numerous times now, I had no intention of killing anyone. So the crewman let two potential assassins into the cabin he was supposed to be guarding? Not the most convincing of sentries, really. In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Gregson for a short while, and then I left him there and made my way off the ship alone. Was the guard still at the door when you went? Yes. He glared at me as I walked past. You see, that proves it. That doesn't prove anything. That's just testimony. The crewman who was standing directly outside your cabin door, you mean? That's right. A muscular man with a permanent grim expression on his face. He didn't once move from that spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now. There's no doubt that Gregson was killed by a gunshot, and it's inconceivable that a crewman standing just outside the cabin door wouldn't have heard that. But wait, what about the ship's enormous steam engines? The noise of them could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired. Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash. Oh? You will recall that my cabin was in the first class area of the ship, which is also, of course, the quietest. I don't imagine for a moment that it's anything like steerage where the judicial assistants go. Ouch. I didn't mean... But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Jigoku. That's compelling evidence that a gun was fired in there. What's that? A bullet hole? Oh yes, you're talking about what the detective uncovered in the wall yesterday, I presume. That was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by woodworm. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet because the bullet was taken out. That's the hole in his argument. Sadly, I was unable to arrange for the crewman to be brought back to Britain with me. But obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question, as the defense implies, I would have been arrested on the spot and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. Very true, the witness's logic is sound. Since no gunshot was heard from the witness's cabin on the night in question, we must assume that the witness is telling the truth. I'm glad you've seen sense, my lord. That's a problem, huh? I know Cosmo's already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot, but even so, hearing it confirmed by somebody else is still a real shock. It's unforgivable, using Kazuma-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan. And I think Kazuma manipulated Judge Jigoku too. He completely double-crossed him. Yeah, now I'm lost here. Oh dear, it's hard not to see that as a stroke of brilliance on Kazuma-sama's part. One way or another, though, Gregson ended up dead. I really think that the murder must have happened aboard the steamship. So you mean Judge Jigoku must be lying. How do we catch the man in the lie, though? I know I shouldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment. But you must destroy him, Mr. Naruto. Jesus! Damn, Susato! Okay, what do we have here? We have... Target was Inspector Gregson. Whatever. Something happened, we know that already. That's a fact. Remember, the crew was on duty at all times. That's a fact. If there had been shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly it can't be involved. A hole? Gunshots can make those from the outside too, don't they? Yeah, but do I have anything that talks about a gun in any capacity? This is not it. What else do we have that I can even remotely use? What do we do? What do we bloody do? I'm looking at everything, by the way. I'm looking at his code and everything. I'm like, nah, there's nothing there. This might be the evidence I have to throw at this. Evacuation drone notice, 31st October. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. Drill will take 20 minutes. Crew to resume duties as soon as the drill is over. And here's the kicker. Kazuma, I believe, said that he left the ship before it left, I want to say. Or before we're supposed to leave? It's a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch. So we're gonna save, and we'll try it. It could be the right one, right? It could be the right one. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly, I can't be involved.
Objection!
I was right. Unbelievable. Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jigoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st. What? Where did you get that? It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember. Herlock Sholmes again. According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m. and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill. All crewmen were away from their posts? And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime. Ah! Get fucked.
Objection!
A 20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke. But it amounts to nothing. Why? Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin, unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture, ow. Very true, well, counsel. Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because of the defense has the evidence to prove it. You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken on Jigoku's cabin on the 31st of October? A small component.
Take that!
Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is that? The crown of a pocket watch? A pocket watch? And if you observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part. It can't be. Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. Grrr. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill. In the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku. Wow, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer? Oh my god, he's still doing about that, huh?
Objection!
Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. Wait, what? I was hoping it'd be pretty good. And I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Sorry? If I had known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. Oh my god. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume. Oh, he's acknowledged? Okay, then. Yes, I do. Very well, then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course. As a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice. Yes, you do. You have every intention of obstructing it. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an what? I can't pronounce that. Some throw. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain because his body was found in London. How does he know that? How do you know that? Ippon Siwe? A common jiu-jitsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place there. Yeah, but how do you explain the gunshot, the whole thing? I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. If this testimony holds, Judge Yagoku would be deemed to have had no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on a cross-examination. You would say that, wouldn't you? Sorry, my lord. The defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. I really want to see if I can catch Strongheart in this.
Hold it!
Because the so-called guard posted at your cabin door had just let your killer pass, you mean? Apparently, Gregson told the crewman he was a police inspector, which was the truth, of course. He wouldn't have had his identification with him, though. He had his trench coat and mustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced. But the man accompanying him would have had two swords, would have had two swords slung around his waist. You mean me? Who else? Yes, that's true. You would have hoped the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly, all I can tell you is that only the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back at my cabin. And you entered without any inkling of suspicion. That's right, none whatsoever. Foolishly waving a gun. Obviously, you're talking about Inspector Gregson. Yes, though at the time I didn't know the man's name. And there was no time for introductions. I value my life over manners. By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose. That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. Anyone would think the man had never shot somebody before. Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Anyway, there was no time to call for help, for the help of the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself. Where's the lie right now? Where's the lie that I can throw? Even though the man had a gun, that was a very brave move, wasn't it? My Ippon Sui is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you. But surely all that commotion caused... What was that just now? Huh? I saw something hover over my ring light and I got confused. I'm like, what the fuck was that? That was weird. But surely all that commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it? Unless it was my hair. Could be my hair. Yes, of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow and just managed to slip past him to make his escape. The outstanding guard does it again. Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out of using a quick e-pawn sweep, so throw myself.
Hold it!
The crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked. Preferable to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, wouldn't you say? Not that the man was spared for long. A bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place. Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujitsu throw. Whatever you say, doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall. What are you talking about? That's what the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Oh, haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. Damn, he is really going hard at this.
Hold it!
Okay, I don't know if I have evidence for that. But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive. Just take a moment to think that idea of yours through now, stripling. What? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at the same spot. It's a devil of a thing. Well, then, obviously the culprit must have moved the body. How exactly? Carrying a corpse off of a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? Well, yes, that's true, but all passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. I would like to think the border police would quarry the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage. When you put it that way, yeah. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. That's the part that gets more confusing now, doesn't it? That's killed the idea, then. But perhaps not. Miss Susato? We've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of that body in the sea. Yes, that's true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative. Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony, with your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objection. State your amended testimony now. What is he amending it to? There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain. There's an idea. Think about it, stripling. All passengers and crew disembarked at the same time and passed through the same checks at the border. Symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel in carriages organized by the ministry. And we met you as soon as you arrived at the hotel. So you did. Well then, remind me, did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time? Fucking... What? No! So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Unless, of course, they developed some clever device these days to instantly move things from A to B. Funny you should say that. Professor Harebrand's invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, of course. The defense has become unusually quiet, I notice. Yes, because there's really nothing more to say. That's a problem, isn't it? So that's his story. Well, I suppose if you think about it, whenever you drop a teacup in the office and it breaks, We don't say Mr. Naruhodo must have been murdered here, do we? Is that a veiled threat about what might happen to me if I break another one? And the fact is that Inspector Gregson's body was found in that little room on Fresno Street. If he really was killed in Judge Shikoku's cabin, the body would have been moved. The body would have to have been moved somewhere, obviously. Transporting a dead body over a country border—that would be impossible for the majority of people. There must have been some special circumstances that made it possible for the culprit, then. That could be a vital realization, I think, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, but what? What the fuck do we have? Let's take a look again. We got the telegram, doesn't tell shit. We got the small component, doesn't tell us shit. We got the evacuation journal itinerary, doesn't really tell us shit. We got the great sword, technically doesn't tell us shit. We have Iris's lucky charm, not gonna help us. We have Clint's autopsy report, that doesn't really help us. We have a passport for... wait. No, we've used this before. But that is a stretch, though. A big, big stretch. We have the trunk that has, what do you call it? The knife blade stuck inside of it right now? Or the sword blade that's stuck inside of it right now? The tip of Karuma. So this is how it was broken. Kazuma's swordsmanship is second to none. I can't believe he'd misjudge it like that. Clearly he wasn't in his right mind. He didn't have full control of the power in his stroke. Too distracted by malicious thoughts, perhaps. Well, that wouldn't be surprising. After all, he was on an assassination mission. Yeah. 31st October, so this passport is for the day before Gregson's body was found. He needed this document for the trip to France, and when it says permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel, can't believe it was you, Kazuma. Kazuma, why? Why, Kazuma, why? And there's also this thing about the blood. Look at this dark stain here. Do you think? Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood. Blood. Okay, we read this dialogue, by the way, before. I remember reading it, at least. And so there's nothing from that box. These Sogi papers. That's not it, either. Commemorative photograph doesn't do anything. The inspector's identification doesn't really tell me anything, either. Oops. I can't find anything out of place in the empty void. Now we know we've looked at this as well. There's no doubt that this is really Inspector Gregson's card. Inspector identification card. Yeah, it's his. The pocket watch, though? I mean, what can we even talk about the fucking pocket watch? Yeah, we've also found out about the policeman thing, but... nah. And there was also the top bit with the crowd. Oh god, it's only been 2 hours, I'm yawning a lot. So a small part of Inspector Gregson's pocket watch was found inside Judge Jigoku's trunk. Yes, I believe that could be very significant indeed. And, what do you call it again? The crown. A pocket watch is quite useless without it. Yes, that's right. The crown. What a very grand name for such a tiny part. That's exactly what you said the last time we discussed it, Mr. Naruto. So badly cracked. What a shame that the inspector didn't take care of it. He's a detective, Naruto, not an odd man job person. I was really hoping we might have found a bullet hole situation here, but no, that's not gonna be the case. I don't know what we have. We got fireworks. That doesn't do anything for us. We have the notice board. That doesn't do anything for us, obviously. We have the floor plan, but that's further proving a point. Autopsy report. Time of death indeterminate. Victim was shot in the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. The caliber of the gun used matches that of a standard issue firearm for members of the judiciary. I wonder if that would be something. We got Gregson's photo. It's not going to help us here. We got the frame photograph, which will not help us here. We got the candelabra, which we already found that is not going to help us here. We got the police figurine thing. Twist the head, get the key out. Wait, there was a bullet hole where he was found? Yeah, there's a, we don't have a picture of it, but in the cabin that Judge Jigoku was staying in on that ship, there is a bullet hole. But they never, Sholmes and Mikotoba never found the, they never found the bullet. So I'm going through the evidence right now and being like, okay, how do I prove that something was, something happened in there? Without the bullet, I feel like I can't do that. The gun could probably point something, maybe. No, I mean the actual place they found him. Oh, no, they didn't find a bullet hole in the actual place they found him. What they found was this candelabra had this part blown off, right? And the reason it was blown off is because there was this elaborate scheme with these fireworks to make this go off at the proper time to make it seem like Gregson was shot, point blank. Scorch marks were on his body, and then the scorch mark on the candle sort of quote-unquote proved that there was a gunshot there, but there really wasn't. It's weird. That dismissal notice is not going to help me. The red hairpiece is also not going to help me. The letter of introduction is not going to help me either. Photograph, Red League dudes, Cosmo's armband. No, that's not going to help me. Okay, I am definitely drained of ideas. I had a guest waiting for my return after finishing my meal. When I walked into the mustachioed man waving a gun at me, so I soon took care of him, blah blah blah. Imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. Nothing to do with murder. There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain. Man, I think the autopsy can do it then, but there's no bullet hole in the place they found, and the bullet passed through his chest. Yeah, I think. Okay, this is stretching it, because it could. I did point out that it's possible for. It is possible that it's the autopsy report I can use, but it's like the only thing I have. Everything else doesn't really fit. Let's try it.
Objection.
Nope, that's not it. That last statement seemed a little questionable to me. I see no inconsistency there, do you? You could span the Straits of Dover with those wide eyes, counsel, and be gone from this island forever. Oh my fucking god, Zoe. You have got to stop playing with this. She moved me! She moved me and made me also tab out to fucking OBS, so that's where my mouse went. She managed to move it out of, all the way to the right side of my monitor. Zoe is streaming now? Yep, that's her. You want me to fill the English channel with tears? I'm gonna try the... Wait, hold on a minute. Murder weapon, probably best to avoid handling it. It was found on Fresno Street. Is this actually the murder weapon, though? So this is the type of revolver that's standard issue for members of the judiciary, then. Yes, and then when I asked about whether the records are kept about who they're issued to, I was told that one for the that for the past 5 years they've been engraved with unique serial numbers. Oh, but as far as I can tell, there's nothing like that on this gun, which tells us that it must have been issued longer ago than that. Huh. I have another potential evidence to throw. But I still need to present the thing about the autopsy report because it's still my go-to.
Objection.
It's not that one either. With this last statement exhibits a fundamental inconsistency. Not one that any British courts would recognize, counsel. What? Remember, this is a closed court. Whatever fate befalls you in here, no one outside will ever know. Should I be wondering if I'll make it out of this courtroom alive? Yes. Okay.
Objection.
Not that either. My lord, as counsel for the defense, I must object to that last statement. And as the judge, I must deny your objection. There is no contradiction here. Oh. No contradiction other than the fact that a Far Eastern lawyer is practicing in a British courtroom. Put there by a not-so-far-away Lord Chief Justice, if you remember.
Objection.
I'm out of ammo. It's gonna be weird if it's the passport.
Objection.
I mean, I would have loved it if it was the passport. I'm gonna see what what my deaths looks like. We wasted enough time. It's clear to me that any further discussion of this case will be fruitless. Eric Van Zeeks, I would like to think that, however misguided, you acted out of a sense of justice nonetheless, though it pains me to have reached this conclusion. No! Wait, my lord! I like how he has the power to magically do all the fire. In accordance with the findings of this court, I hereby pronounce the defendant, Eric Van Zeeks, guilty! That concludes business. Court is adjourned. Retry. Resume a saved game. Ah, man. So what is it then? The telegram? Cool. The pocket watch thing? Nah. What if it's this thing again? What if it's that thing again?
Objection.
No. Oh god, okay. We are running out of complete options right now. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. You know, I never really... Oh wait, no, never mind. I did find out why there's a bloody handprint on this. It was from, something else. Oh, man. Hold on. Is there maybe something here that tells me he was frozen? No. That would be really great. Wait a fucking second. No, that's just discoloration, right? That can't be anything.
Objection.
I wish. At this point, I'm just presenting what I feel like would fit, but, like, nothing is fitting. Whatever puzzle pieces... Okay. If you've ever messed around with building puzzles, or making puzzles, I feel like the game just gave me a 3D puzzle, and they're expecting me to figure out what... they're expecting me to put a 2D piece into a 3D puzzle. It doesn't work well.
Objection.
I wish, man. I don't know. I just don't know. I've gone through so many... I've already game overed once. We're gonna game over again at this rate. Help. Help. Help me.
Objection.
I wish. Oh god, okay. What am I don't know, dude. I'm completely lost on this one. It's because I have so many breaks in between these streams, so I don't know where to go with it. Oh, so Zoe's in front of me again. Hi, Zoe. Did you enjoy whatever food you were eating?
Objection.
That's not it either. Load the game. I've got no idea. Oh god, baby, this hurts. Do, 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 do. There's no possible way I could have transported. Read the other papers, see if there's anything indicating that they did something different. Fuck, man, I don't know. Okay, dismissal notice doesn't help me because it's from 10 years ago. The letter of introduction is just something that Professor Mikotoba read. Wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? This dark-seated young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. Mira, does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy? I do wish he'd at least call you a nice young man. I'm really not sure that would help. It wouldn't. And then there's the blackbird here. Nope, not that. Red-headed League? Who cares? Zoe. 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 Zoe! Zoe! You like the petting. I know you do. Because you always get up as soon as I pet you. Okay, flame red hairpiece, no. Gun, no. Policeman, no. Wait, why do we have this policeman thing? Candelabrum, no. Framed photo, no. Gregson's photograph, no. Autopsy report, again, we've already presented this and it just doesn't help. What about the other testimonies? Or bits of testimony? I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. But this isn't Gregson's gun. Where is Gregson's gun? Did it ever mention anything about Gregson's gun? I mean, I know he has one. He has to have one. It just wouldn't make sense. I soon took care of him with a throw. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken after I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. All possible way I could have transported the victims back to the fucking thing. Oh, where's that stupid letter of introduction? No, it's just on the back of a steamship ticket. Does it actually mention anything about the... No. Zoe. Clint's autopsy report was something from the last that's a 10-year-old autopsy report. That's not gonna help me. The passport, it's only good for telling me that Gregson was gonna go and travel to France with one plus person. We already checked the trunk. There's nothing there. Sogi papers? Shit, I don't know. Request that upon my death, any material possessions and wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son, Cosimo Sogi, in the Empire of Japan. With deep sadness, I'll never get to see what happens in the future.
Objection!
I don't believe it. I don't believe that. What? There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body, you say? I would say the opposite is true. And what's that supposed to mean? Far from being impossible for you to do, the transporting of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something only you could do. What are you talking about, Ryunosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Jugoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. Oh. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London. Wow, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? I knew you were jealous. And this fucker was hiding a body in his fucking trunk this entire time? I presume you recall this, Judge Jugoku. It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside. Mr. Naruhodo, surely you're not suggesting? I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us, inside Judge Jugoku's trunk. Oh, that was an interesting catch. Order! Order! Order in the court! I'm skeptical, counsel, that a grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk. It could. Because I happen to know that the witness himself, a man of considerable size, fits inside his trunk. I'm actually super impressed he managed to fit inside the damn thing. And verifying that would be extremely simple, wouldn't it, Judge Jugoku? Cornered. But inside his trunk? How horrifying! And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street. taking your trunk with you in a cab to deposit the inspector's body. I don't have to listen to this nonsense. Dr. Gorey, the coroner who examined the body, has confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged there are signs that steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. The onset of the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator. Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday, the refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between. Yes, I'm sure they are, but one place they're certainly found is on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages, and the SS Grouse is no exception. Professor Miko told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Jigoku. However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth. All the evidence points to you being the killer. He's pissed. Wow, this is all very heartening. I can see that it was a wise move, letting Asogi and you embark on this study tour. What are you talking about now? Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you've both laid firm foundations for that already. Judge Jigoku, please, stop diverting attention from the issues at hand. The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond? Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there? He's not wrong. Why ever not? Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, you must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical. The actual scene of the crime. The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place on Fresno Street when the gunshot was heard. As the accused, Barrick Van Zeke shot the victim at point-blank range. He really wants to take out, or maybe he's stringing me along, I don't know. Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at this time, the defense's deductions amount to little more than an elaborate fairy tale. I'm afraid that's how the logical reasoning the British are known for really works, young stripling. The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly. I'm afraid it's the prosecution's claim that's the only fairy tale here. How can you say that? Quite simply, because the claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession. Very tantalizing, counsel. I think you'd better explain yourself to the court, don't you? Prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. The only thing that makes any sense that contradicts the claim is the chest. I don't think it's the chest, though, for some reason. Also, sorry, I have a cat hair on my glasses because Zoe loves to attract the cat hair all over me. I can never escape the cat hair. It's a purgatory that I'm stuck in. Purgatory. Bruh. But yeah, no, the only thing that can contradict it right now is, The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. Sorry, Zoe, I didn't know you were down there. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. The problem is, I look at the evidence and I'm like, okay, the revolver. How many times has this thing fired? Okay, it doesn't tell you how many times it was fired. Okay, fair enough. You don't think that this has anything to do with it, do you? There's no if their bullet was shot on this thing, you would not even know. It'd have to be such an insignificant dent on this thing that you'd be surprised. For sure. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, it's cracked like it would, like something hit it right there, right? But that doesn't tell you anything. Down, 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 ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, down. Down, 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 da 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 down, 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 down. Victim was shot in the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet had exited the body from behind. The caliber of the gun used matches that of standard issue firearms for a member of the judiciary. So it's not the autopsy report. That much I can be certain of. There's nothing on this thing, unless there is, in which case I am very shocked, but... You know, there's still something I'm very confused about, and it's been bothering me since I saw this thing. There's a cut mark up there, and there's also another cut mark down here, and one down here. I don't know if that's just aesthetics, or if I'm projecting or something, you know? Details of the whole raft of cases dating here. 10 years ago, bruh. Right ahead of the EG advertisement. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything because it's been a while. Okay, no. And then there we have the handprint in the back, which we found out was from, bloody handprint! That kind of looks like something straight out of Duke Nukem, but that's not what we're looking for. Yeah, no, there's nothing on that. We know the firecrackers. Wait a minute. Wasn't the firecrackers the thing that made it, like, made us get fooled? I mean, there's 3 pieces of evidence I could present, but the first one I want to present is the trunk. I might be wrong, but I still tried.
Take that!
The Japanese really are a curious breed. To proffer an argument with such conviction, only to present such nonsensical evidence. Perhaps my Japanese friend's inexplicable thinking is why people talk of the mystique of the East. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm not the only Japanese around here. You even have a mirror. The court is not interested in the mystique of anything. You will be penalized accordingly. Yep. Was the victim killed in the room on Fresno Street, or was he moved there after his death? There's one piece of evidence we have that shows the answer to that question surprisingly clear. Perhaps you should try to present the correct one this time, then, Mr. Naro. Shut up. You're gonna try again, or can't you hold your hand steady enough to point it out?
Take that!
It's not that one either, okay. Is it really the fucking candelabrum?
Take that!
It's not either? Okay, now I'm even more confused. What the heck? Ryunosuke, what the hell are you trying to have me point to? Unless it's this fucking gun. At this point, I have no idea. And I'm just gonna load the game so I don't have to deal with my one life. Okay, so technically I've game over twice now, if we're being honest. It's faster to load the game at this point than it is to go through their dialogue. I can't believe it. Autopsy, I think it's time for it. You think it's the autopsy report? It could be the autopsy report.
Take that!
Not it either. I'm dry, man. What does this game want? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not the red hair because there's no bullet hole in it. That did not mean to push that button. No! No, I'm gonna load the game. I can't load the game in here. Ah! Ow! My cat just bit my elbow. It's not the hair. It's not the figurine. Do 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 do. Unless it's his photo, but to me, I don't even know, man. Bum, ba ba dum bum. Here's what I was looking at, by the way. It's the fingers. Fingers look all weird.
Take that!
That's what I was thinking about. A photograph of the victim in the very location you claim he wasn't killed. Please tell me it's the fingers. Yes, but the point is the posture of the body itself. Oh, the posture? If Inspector Gregson had been shot there in that room, it's out of the question that his body would have been curled up in a ball like that. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your logic is flawed. You could easily have adopted that fetal position due to the pain of the shot would subsequently prove fatal. It was instant. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Judge Jigoku, but it's your logic that is flawed. What? According to this autopsy report, the victim died instantly. He would have felt no pain, much less have been able to draw himself into that position. Well, wait, he didn't know that? Which begs the question of why the victim's body is curled up in that way. I was thinking about that. Why would he be in the fetal position if he felt nothing? Man, that's so insignificantly tiny, too, when you think about it. Though the answer should be abundantly clear by now. You're suggesting that the inspector's body took on that posture ahead of its arrival on Fresno Street, before it was coldly turned out on the floor from the inside of a large travel trunk. No! You're quite right. The shape of the body. It looks exactly as if it had been kept in a confined space. Uh-oh. Wow, Jigoku, I think you might be a little stuck. Judge Jigoku, present your trunk for examination. I believe it's very possible to contain traces of the victim's blood. Arrgh! Oh, he's pissed. Present my trunk. I refuse. What? On what grounds? Yeah, I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Empire of Japan. I shouldn't have to put up with this treatment just because of some stripling's baseless accusations. In other words, Judge Jigoku, there is blood in your trunk. I decline to answer that. As the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I have privileges. Allow me to... No, you can't do that. At this moment, you're not a government minister. You are a witness in the trial in Britain's highest court. Yeah, no. Fucking... Damon Gant tried to use that fucking excuse on one of the first Ace Attorney game. That's not working here. I don't care who you are or what your status outside this courtroom might be. You will not withhold information. Nothing is more important than the truth. Ugh. Ah! Ah! Order! Order in the court! Well, Mr. Jigoku, what's it to be? You can't be serious. You did it? Have you no shame at all, Kazuma Asogi? What? Very well, I admit it. I did bring the inspector's body into the country. He admits it. Inside my trunk, exactly as postulated by the defense. What? You? Dear God, outrageous! So it was you! You admit to it? No, he didn't. He did not admit to a murder. No, I admit to nothing more than what I've said. Of killing the man, I certainly have no recollection. What on earth is that cryptic statement supposed to mean? I merely disposed of the inspector's body, which was left in my cabin, in order to avoid unwanted attention. As the judicial assistant over there pointed out, I had no chance to throw it into the ocean. So, I decided my only option was to bring it into Britain with me and dispose of it somewhere else. You can't still deny it! If you didn't do it, then who on earth did kill the man? As you know, there was only one other person in my cabin that night. He had the opportunity. And moreover, he'd already accepted a mission to take the inspector's life. Oh! That's right, who else could it have been? It was you, Kazuma Asogi. You. This is... Uh-oh, what's happening, dude? I never thought you'd stoop to this, Shishira Jigoku. You've taken the words straight out of my mouth, Prosecutor Kazuma Asogi. You thought by leaving the body in my cabin you could pin the crime on me, did you? Well, the prosecution counsel has already admitted to visiting the witness cabin on the night in question. Yes, on an assassination mission, no less. You wouldn't! So, what do you make of that, young stripling? You've heard my testimony now, and that's all I have to say on the matter. I'll admit to nothing more. I don't believe this. Counsel for the defense, what is your position now? The court awaits your response to the witness assertion. The assertion that on the night in question, the victim's assailant was in fact Mr. Kazuma Asogi. This isn't the dead end it seems to be. The answer is right in front of me. It comes down to Jigoku or Kazuma. Both of them had the opportunity to kill Gregson, but only one of them did it. And I'm just a step away from proving who. Very well, the defense is ready to respond to the assertion put forward by Judge Jigoku. I have to answer this? The idea that the victim's murder could have been committed by Prosecutor Asogi is what? What? Okay. Listen to my thought on this. I go back to the trunk for a second, right? We gotta open the trunk. Actually, we have to open the trunk before we can see the dialogue. So we see this knife tip, right? The tip of Kurama's, this is how it was broken. Suck in the nun, I can't believe he'd misjudge it like that. Clearly he wasn't in his right mind. He didn't have full control of the power in his stroke. Too distracted by malicious thoughts, perhaps. This to me tells me it could not have been Kazuma. The blood, though, on the other hand, does paint a problem for me. And then we also have the sword, right? That's broken. But Kazuma had it with him. It's not bloody, by the way, so it's not possible. I don't think it's possible. Judge Jigoku, let me remind you of something you said only a few minutes ago. You claimed that logical reasoning is the future of the judicial process. It is, no question. Well, logical reasoning can prove something here. Namely, that it would have been impossible for Prosecutor Asogi to commit the crime. What? The court will only accept an argument that is supported by compelling evidence. So present what you have, counsel. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's involvement? His sword. Oh man, it's not the sword. It's probably the trunk then. Every piece of evidence has a role to play in arriving at the truth. They're not playthings you can toss around the courtroom for entertainment. Ow. Please. Never mind the evidence. You're about to make me weep, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, I can't upset Suzato-san or I'll end up being upset too. We know a member of the crew was on sentry duty outside the first-class cabins nearly all the time, so as long as the guard were there, it would have been impossible to fire a shot with it being heard. And that very much narrows down when the crime could have been committed. Court will only accept evidence. What's the evidence? It's probably the trunk now that I think about it. Right? It's still not the one. Man, what is it, dude? I still think it's not Kazuma, but now I'm out of ideas. I'm making the evidence weep. Seriously, I don't know. I don't know. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's movement? The autopsy report because he has a sword, not a gun? I'm dead. We got another game over. That's the third one today. Tonight. What happens if I say it's possible? Well, it is possible, my lord. What? How could you? You'd think I want to believe it, but the fact is, I can't say with complete certainty what actually happened because I wasn't there. You disappoint me, Ryunosuke. If I may, Mr. Naruhodo. I think perhaps that's why we form opinions based on evidence. Ah, so true. And actually, we have evidence to consider this argument conclusively. My lord, the defense would like to present evidence in support of... Before you plow on, feigning ignorance of what just occurred, counsel, you must be penalized for that short but embarrassing "ah" you uttered a moment ago. You get penalized for that. Wow, okay. Really thought I could brush past it if I was quick enough. Never mind the penalty, Mr. Naruhodo. The truth is all that matters. Okay, so it automatically says it's impossible. So that's that. Now I'm also down one life. Anyway, what proof is it that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's involvement? I honestly really thought it was going to be the trunk. And the blade. At this point, I have no fucking idea. Oh, okay. Photograph, no. Letter of introduction, no. Dismissal notice, no. Red hairpiece. Fuck if I know. It could have blood on it, but it's not. The revolver, we tried that already. The policeman figurine, we tried that already. No, actually, never mind. Why would it be it? Candelabrum, it's been blown off by a gun. Or, I guess, a firecracker in this case. Framed photograph, no. Gregson's photograph. No? Autopsy report, we tried it. Crime scene floor plan? No. Pocket watch? I mean, the guy said it broke when he threw the victim. I mean, that is true, too. And I keep pointing out this, like, little bit over here that got broken. It could be the pocket watch. No. Oh, you're making the evidence weep, Ryunosuke. 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 Eh.
Take that!
You're making the evidence weep. You know, I'm about to push the story mode button because I'm out of... I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like I just don't have anything that works. Eh. Let's take the game over. You're making the evidence weep. It weeps. I'm gonna push the story mode button because I can't figure it out. First off, it's impossible. The problem is, I don't know what... okay. Letter of introduction, who the fuck cares? Dismissal notice, who the fuck cares? The red hairpiece, who the fuck cares? The revolver, doesn't work. Policeman figurine, doesn't work. Candelabrum, doesn't work. The framed photograph, which we can't really look at anything with this one specifically, but it shouldn't work. Rex's photograph. I'm gonna push the story button. What? No, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why?
Take that!
The evacuation drone notice? I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? Because Kazuma saw the dude before he the door guard before he left. This itinerary for the crew members of the SS Grouse, my lord, this is conclusive proof. An itinerary, how does that prove anything? Judge Jigoku, the moment you acknowledge that you found the victim's body in your cabin, this itinerary suddenly became much more significant. What? Why? On the night in question, as always, a crewman sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, nobody could have fired a shot inside the cabin. Absolutely, because it's inconceivable that the guard wouldn't have heard it and come to investigate. So that tells us that the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. And that narrows it down to the 20 minutes just after 10 o'clock as indicated on the itinerary. Yes, I see no flaw in your reasoning so far. But the crucial point is this: when the evacuation drill took place, The steamship had already put to sea from the steamship had already put to sea from the port of Dunkirk. Ah. Now, clearly the murder could have only been committed by someone who was aboard the vessel at the time. The prosecutor Asogi stated in yesterday's proceedings, I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning. Which I'm sure the court will agree is conclusive proof that Kazuma Asogi couldn't possibly have carried out the killing. Ooh, the song, though. Grrr! Hold it. No! Absolutely not! I don't accept that at all! What the hell? How did I tab out? I accidentally tabbed out of the game somehow. What did he say just now? No, I don't. Absolutely not. I don't accept that at all. What do you mean? The boy's just saying that to exonerate himself. We can't trust that he really disembarked the vessel. Obviously, after he left my cabin, he hid himself somewhere nearby in the ship. Just waiting for his chance to come back and finish the... Objection! No, that's out of the question. Isn't it, Kazuma? As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel and spent the night at a boarding house in Dunkirk. And as I said yesterday, I signed my name in the accommodations register book. All extremely easy to verify, and undeniable proof. No! There's no escape this time. You can forget that you're a judge or a government minister. It's time you gave the court an honest answer as a common man. Ooh. Grrr. You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain. Then you dumped the body in the room on Fresno Street and made it look as if the murder had happened there. That's what really happened, isn't it, Shishiro Jigoku? It was that damn trial 10 years ago. That's when all this began. Ooh. Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. Oh, shit! You're not supposed to just... Whoa. It's over! My life is over. Interesting. But I still don't trust Strongheart. A British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan, a Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands. The assassin exchange request arrived from Britain about 1 year ago. Oh, it was hardly a request, it was a demand. And for that, you decided to recruit Mr. Asogi. But things didn't go according to plan. Your chosen assassin never made it to Britain. And you found yourself unable to dispatch a replacement. Because I was already on my way to Britain at that time in Kazuma's place. And that left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation. To eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that. The International Forensic Science Symposium, I presume? That's right. Oh, I like this little detail, but the witness stand is gone. He broke it, so it's actually gone in this frame. That's right, I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain, so I enlisted the help of my British counterpart, and made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper. What? The Reaper? But there's only one person who could have done that. The mastermind of the entire operation. The Reaper himself. I just got cornered. So, that means that the assassin exchange was... It was all planned by the Reaper? I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship. But it was all a trap designed to lead him to France, and his own death. Oh, how awful. It was past 9 o'clock when I returned to my cabin from the dining hall that evening. I didn't give him time to attack me. I choked him until he lost consciousness. Fuck me. But there was a guard just outside the door, so I left it at that for the time being. Even the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time, waiting. But the 20 minutes after 10 o'clock, I had intended to finish him by strangulation, but moments before I had the chance, he suddenly came round and went for me in a reckless move. Jeez. I'd received the British-issued gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. I never imagined I'd have to use it for something like that. So the revolver belongs to you, does it? And the victim was killed inside your cabin on the SS Grouse, which begs the question of why you arranged for his body to be discovered in the room on Fresno Street. The young judicial assistant over there has already answered that question. There was no way I could take the body up on deck and throw it over the side. That's precisely where all the crewmen were gathered for the evacuation drill. Yeah, that's gonna stop that plan completely in its tracks. So before the first-class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room. And then on arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk in order to smuggle it past the border police. I knew I needed to take steps if the police were to be convinced when the body was found in London. In that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Inspector Gregson's intended schedule. Yes, my British counterpart sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector was due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon. In order to meet a man by the name of Huge Bone, from whom he would take back his police identification. Jesus, fuck. I decided that man would be the perfect person to set up as the culprit. So I took a hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk. That must have been just after we took this photograph of you at the hotel then. Yes, I wasn't expecting a welcoming committee. I was more than a little nervous. On Fresno Street, I spotted a young girl selling little firecrackers. Miss Venus, of course. I conceived of the candle trick there and then, so I donned a simple disguise and approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot. What sort of disguise? For some reason, the inspector had a bright red hairpiece in his own traveling case, so I put that on, although I suspect I drew more attention to myself in that than I would have otherwise. I can't imagine him with red hair. The hairpiece we found at the scene, the inspector had it ready for the Red-Headed League investigation. I only arrived at the room at around 4:45, so I quickly placed the body on the floor, moved the notice board, and set up my little candle trick. I arranged it so the firecrackers could go off with a bang around 15 minutes later, so that Mr. Bone, who was due to arrive at 5, would walk straight into a trap. Except, at the last moment, I made a careless blunder. What was that? I imagine it was the bag of fish and chips. Huh? I didn't notice that it had fallen out of his overcoat pocket when I moved the body to the refrigeration room. I put it back into his pocket the following morning, but... well, it seems the warmth of the heated cabin had accelerated the decay of the fish. Anyway, that's everything. All the sordid details of what I did. So literally the murderer was fucking Shikoku. And here I am trying to pin the blame on Strongheart. Actually, you know what? I still can pin the blame on Strongheart. I've heard enough. We've arrived at the truth about the murder of one of the country's most capable and respected police inspectors. The witness will be tried in the coming days for a crime of such a vile nature. You can expect the most severe penalty. An exchange of assassins. What a foolhardy idea. Mr. Jigoku, one last detail. Who was your counterpart in Britain? Who was the mastermind behind the assassin exchange? Nothing you say now can make matters any worse for you. Just tell us. Enough! I've already told you that I cannot say. Even though as things stand, you may very well never set foot in your homeland again. What are you waiting for? Can't we get this over with now? It's finished. All of it. I'm finished. Then, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now pronounce the findings of this court. This man before us has admitted to the willful murder of Tobias Gregson. Shishiro Jigoku, it is the opinion of this court that you should be found guilty. And may I remind all those present of the strict confidentiality demanded by this closed court. Objection. Objection. Somebody hit the objection. We're not done. Moments ago, Mr. Jigoku signed a written confession, admitting to the murder of Inspector Gregson and the subsequent conveyance of the body. In short, the defendant's innocence has therefore been established beyond doubt. Oh, wonderful. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, thank you. Is something wrong? I'm just a little troubled by his silence. The true identity of the Reaper of the Bailey and this extraordinary assassin exchange, we do remain in the dark about these mysteries. However, insofar as the indictment brought against the defendant in this trial, we have reached a conclusion. I have every intention of pursuing both mysteries as a prosecutor. As you wish. Now, for the formal adjudication. I hereby declare the defendant, Barrick Van Zeeks.
Objection!
I mean, I was expecting an objection, but not from him. The prosecution calls for adjudication to be deferred. Counsel. The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all, and therefore it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at this time. Huh? I would like to know where he's going with this. That is the prosecution's unwavering position. What? But Judge Jigoku has already confessed. Nevertheless, Barrick Van Zeeks has committed crimes for which he must be punished. Well, it would appear that you have information that the court needs to hear, Prosecutor Asogi. Certainly, the murder of Inspector Gregson was actually carried out by Shishiro Jigoku. But it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying with the plot. Into this sick, merciless assassin exchange. That may be true, but... So what I want to know is, who coerced Jigoku? Who was pulling the strings? The victim went to France having been ordered on a mission for the Reaper, only to be murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin exchange is someone in a position to give such an order. As we've already established, the Reaper himself. Well, certainly, that would appear to follow. The prosecution hereby formally accuses the man in the dock, Barrick Van Zeeks, of being the Reaper of the Bailey, and furthermore, I'm going to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. Oh, for God's sakes, why him? Well, if you're gonna throw the finger at Zeeks, I'm gonna throw the finger at Strongheart. Order! 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 The Reaper of the Bailey is a long-standing mystery, Counsel, Are you suggesting you have some new information for which to build a case? Scotland Yard has already investigated Lord Van Zieks very thoroughly in that regard, and they found no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he is the Reaper. Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed. What do you mean? It's already been established that the assassin exchange was negotiated by Jigoku with Jigoku by the Reaper himself, which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify definitively the man's identity. Hi, Zoe. I can't see, by the way, Zoe. Oh my god. She just wants pets. That's all she wants. She only ever wants the pets. That is the prosecution's intention here. I must say I'm surprised by quite how tenaciously you appear to want to besmirch my name. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime, Lord Van Zieks. And I will bring you to justice for it. Whatever it takes. That explains Kazuma's silence before. He'll stop at nothing to finish what Lord Van Zieks unwittingly started 10 years ago. Very well, whilst it's extremely irregular, I will on this occasion grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant would disclose any and all involvement he had with the Reaper and the Assassin exchange. The defendant doesn't have anything. Surely. I thank you, my lord, for guiding the court so wisely. I hereby declare this court to be in session for a supplementary hearing. Oh my god. Oh my god. Pray turn a blind eye to the discourtesy as I verify that this vile and unremitting accusation hasn't soured the contents of my hallowed chalice. Lord Van Zieks! I first had to suffer the pseudonym of the Reaper 10 years ago now, and ever since that time I've endured the weight of implied guilt that's gone with it. So I welcome the chance to testify now, and crush those allegations once and for all. Good. Then let justice decide, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution seeks to begin building its case by calling the accused to the stand as the primary witness, in order that he may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is the Reaper of the Bailey. And what says the defense? Putting the defendant in the witness stand can be extremely dangerous, and Kazuma-sama is so emotional at the moment, he's not thinking logically. You're right that he's not himself, but I knew that he would be like this, and I came here today determined to face him through whatever might arise, as a lawyer and his friend. Then that's what we must do. The defense has no objection, my lord. Very well. Defendant, you will take the witness stand and give formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the Assassin exchange. How much more of this do we have left? Because I need to stop. As you wish, my lord. And if it goes straight into a testimony, that's... okay. Yeah. Okay. The Reaper and the Assassin exchange. I've never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day, and how I came to discover the body. Point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. Huh? Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the Assassin exchange. So you deny all accusations by the prosecution. Oops. Both that you are the Reaper of the Bailey, and that you are And you masterminded the assassin exchange. I acknowledge that the public at large believe me to be the Reaper. However, that's a fallacy, which I alone am in a position to forswear. Naturally, the prosecution believes the testimony just given by the accused to be untrue. Ryunosuke... I can't say his name anymore. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Yes? Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom? A desire to uncover the truth. Even if the truth proves your client to be guilty. From all my experiences in this courtroom, I've come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later it will come out. Lies beget lies, and people get caught in lies. So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth. I want you to remember what you just said. Enough dilatory chatter. Counsel for the defense proceeded to cross-examine the witness. Ah, yes, my lord. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kazuma. I know you're just waiting to point it out. The contradiction you're convinced lies somewhere within this man's testimony. Unfortunately, I'm tired, and I don't want to keep going, so we're gonna save this testimony with the Reaper of the Bailey for what day is it today? Wednesday? We'll save it for Friday. We'll come back to this, yeah, which is gonna be great because now I'm gonna come back into it and be like, oh damn, by the way, you have a lot of crap to deal with. Like, oh no, oh no. Okay, well, I was not expecting Judge Jogoku to be the one who killed Gregson, but I am still aiming my gun at Strongheart being the mastermind behind all this. That got convoluted as hell. Yeah, and it's also getting very hard to read the dialogue because my brain is like turning to mush. So yeah, we will take care of this again, or we will continue this again on Friday, and then we'll get to find out what the hell happens because in my head, I still think Strongheart is one of the masterminds of all this. But I have nothing in my fucking evidence logs that points to him. So I have no idea, not a single idea about what's gonna happen with regards to this entire cross-examination. We'll find out on Friday though. Anyway, tomorrow we have more Stardew Valley, and that's all I have to say. I'm gonna go ahead and take a break now. So with that, I wish everyone a happy morning? No, a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. And I will see you tomorrow for the Stardew Valley. Also, come join the Discord server. There's a link in the description to get there. Bye-bye for now! Oh, wow, my voice is cracking. Bye-bye!